'Tis I, your old pal King Chuck. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. I'm trying to stay warm. I actually just got back from snow blowing. Oh my God. We, as a matter of fact, right now as I'm talking to you, it's about 7 degrees outside here in Grand Rapids. Although my thermometer says 17. I don't know who to believe, the weatherman or the thermometer, because sometimes the sun will shine on the thermometer and everything will become bass backwards. So I want to read you a post that I read today from a friend of mine on Facebook. He wrote, "I am not one to post my opinions on social media because frankly they are none of your business and I don't give two shits about your opinion of me. That said, I am very proud to be a Minnesotan right now. Trump and his goons have been trying to light this fuse for weeks, and we refuse to take his bait. They keep treading on Americans' constitutional rights and flat out lying about the reasons despite the clear evidence recorded by my neighbors. Do you believe your eyes or what your masters tell you? If you are still blind or stupid or racist enough to buy what the party is feeding you, please unfriend me. Stop looking at my work or what I do. If you think this is a difference in politics, you are even dumber than you sound, and that's a hard thing to be. Friend, peer, relative, fuck right off, and we'll see you on the side of history you went with. You won't be missed." By the way, that statement was typed by Tom Richmond, and Tom is an artist at Mad Magazine. And I understand what Tom has been through. Tom is a proud father of 6 children. He and his wife Anna have been married for, I think, over 30 years now. One of his kids, by the way, is autistic. He has an autistic daughter. And Tom's been through a lot, basically. You know, in the late 90s, he was an artist at Cracked Magazine, the Mad's arch rival. And the story was, Cracked was bought out by an asshole who basically wasn't paying his artist jack shit, and Tom was basically seeing his work being demoted to the back part of the magazine. So what happened was one day he had a chance meeting with Sam Viviano. He was the art director at Mad Magazine. And Sam and Tom had a conversation. And Tom actually told Sam he really wanted to work for his magazine. Sam then said, "Well, we have a policy at Mad. You can't work for a rival humor magazine." I just quit Cracked. And Sam said, "Oh, when did you quit?" 3 seconds ago, he said. I love that story. And, you know, Mad's been a sinking ship for years, sadly, because, you know, long story short, you know, the longtime publisher Bill Gaines died, and for years he told Warner Brothers, "Keep your paws off my magazine." And then when he died, Warner's decided, okay, you know, we're going to try to make the magazine more profitable. We're going to, you know, try to, you know, sell more advertising, and basically they ran the magazine into the ground. And, you know, I was so angry when they announced that they were going to stop selling Mad at regular grocery stores and only sell them at comic book shops. And I'm like, that is so fucking stupid. You know, they want to kill it. And for a while, they actually had only like 3 pages of new content per month. But anyway, but you know, Cracked was the worst of the sinking ships, because, you know, the magazine ended up going out of business, you know, and of course the Cracked magazine website, you know, has switched owners multiple times over the years. Anyway, so enough about Mad and Cracked and all that. we need to talk about Minneapolis. And I did write a message to Tom saying, I have a side of my family that lives in Minnesota, including my late aunt, who was a school teacher. And if she was still alive today, I think right now she's actually rolling in her grave because of all this. It's heartbreaking. Of what's, and it's like every time Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, we had to deal with George Floyd the first time around, and how, we all learned that all cops are bastards, ACAB, and it led to huge riots, not just in Minneapolis, but even here in Grand Rapids. People were fed up with how the police were not our friend, and now we're dealing with ICE, and so far they've killed 2 innocent people in Minneapolis. And of course we lost and of course we just learned last night of the death of Alex Pretti. And Alex was this was a guy, he was a VA nurse. He was a fucking VA nurse. He helped with our veterans. And the family even released a video of him, making a statement in front of the draped gurney of a guy who had just passed away. And I'll tell you something. God bless the VA. My father is on the VA program. What breaks my heart is my father has been on the VA program for decades. He used the VA to buy my childhood home, and he's been on the VA health program because, he's had 2 back surgery, 2 surgeries with his spinal cord last year. And the sad truth is he's a Trump supporter. He's MAGA. He loves Donald Trump. And I look at him sometimes and I'm like, dude, it's like too many times I'll come home from work and he's got Fox News Channel blaring. And, it's like he doesn't mind being gaslit by these people. And, you look at Alex Pretti and George Floyd. And, and of course, let's not forget, last month they, that one lady who, that one woman who was murdered for, Renee Good. There we go. I'm sorry. I'm not good with names, but anyway, the point is, Renee Good was killed for no reason, and Alex Pretti was no good for, was killed for no reason either. And the excuse was that, Renee was running this person, one of our ICE agents over. No, she wasn't. Oh, Alex Pretti had a gun. Yeah, he did, but he was protecting himself. He had the Second Amendment right to carry a gun. And this ICE Gestapo, they're out there saying to everyone, well, we're protecting this town from pedophiles and rapists and murder. Okay, and so who is the president of the United States right now? And how much of the Epstein files have been released? You see, the problem is America was pushed to vote for Trump for a second term. And the excuse was that, the price of everything is going up. and everything's gone up because of Biden. No, it's like Biden had no control over anything. You know, you have to remember that the price of eggs went up, not because Biden stepped up and said, yeah, we're going to jack up the prices. He did this. The point is, folks, we have a misconception that everything is Biden's fault. And look at what's happened since Donald Trump became president. The package of coffee that I buy from Costco, which, by the way, is Big B. I remembered that when Biden was president, it was like $12 a pack. And now it's $18. It's gone up because of Trump's tariffs. And we can't grow coffee in America. Is Trump that stupid? Does Trump think that we're all stupid? Plus, what about what about his hands? The big brown spots on his hands. 1 minute they're saying, well, he shakes a lot of hands, and now the excuse is that, well, he bumped his hand on a table. I think there's something wrong with Trump, folks. He's senile. And, folks, it breaks my heart that there's people out there who think that Trump is going to fix everything, and things have only gotten worse. And, I feel sorry for the people of Minneapolis. I feel sorry for the government there. They're trying everything they can to get ICE out of town. They're doing nothing. And it's, and Kristi Noem, she's making up lies to cover her ass. I mean, this is what the right voted for, folks. And I don't want to hear, well, I didn't vote for this. You did. You voted since I was old enough to vote, folks, the right have all voted for war. They voted here in Michigan to make the citizens of Flint drink tainted water. And, Flint is now a shell of itself now. And now they're voting for higher prices. They're voting to hurt businesses. I've heard, and I'll tell you something. Yesterday I was driving to Costco with my mother. Value City Furniture is going out of business. They're doing a going out of business sale. Value City Furniture. Now, let me tell you what happened. The Value City Furniture in Cascade, that used to be Art Van. And Art Van, the family that owned Art Van, they sold it to this investment company many years ago, and they ended up going out of business, bankrupt. So many of the locations were sold to a new company called Love's Furniture, and they went bankrupt. And they ended up being sold to Value City, and guess what? Bankrupt. It's like, what the fuck? And I'll tell you part of the problem. It's because a lot of furniture is made overseas. And now these furniture companies, these furniture stores, they can't stay in business. And once again, that big sprawling building, right across from Sam's Club on 28th Street, it's going to be abandoned again. It's like, what the fuck? You see, and of course I also heard that Francesca's, which is a shopping mall staple, they're going out of business. So, I can go on and on, folks. It's heartbreaking. It's beyond heartbreaking what Trump is doing to our country. And it's going to continue at least until early, this time next year. And I hope and pray we have a blue wave. And the only way this blue wave can happen is to knock it off with the vote blue, no matter who bullshit, because there are some Democrats who actually voted to support ICE. Knock it off. Knock it off already. Because too many times I've seen vote blue, no matter who, and, you know, there were some people who unfortunately voted to screw up the ACA, and now millions of Americans don't have health care. We can go on and on, folks, but we need to tell the Democrats to knock it off with this big tent party bullshit. Start caring about the American people and your voters. Knock it off with, well, I'll support this until somebody gives me a ton of money, because we've seen it happen too many times. Bernie Sanders got fucked in 2016 because, you know, the fake Democrats won, and we ended up with Hillary Clinton. And even though Hillary won the popular vote, we ended up with Trump. And part of the reason why was because people in Michigan didn't want to vote for her. And hell, they didn't want to vote for Kamala. And the reason why was because, you know, Trump was popular in Michigan. All I can say is, you know, I just hope that, but you know, it's going to get worse. Things are going to get worse until they get better. And all I can say to the people of Minneapolis, stay strong through all this. Stay strong and tell ICE that you're not wanted. Period. End of story. And, you know, I hope that it doesn't happen here in Grand Rapids either. You know, Grand Rapids is a melting pot. You know, there's a lot of refugees who live here. You know, people from Bosnia and Vietnam and Africa. I mean, one of the nicest women I've ever met is from Ethiopia. So, and you know, some of these foreigners are actually nicer than the Dutch Hollanders who live here. So, anyway, I can go on and on. But at the end of the day, Minnesota needs to stay strong. And I hope that if ICE tries to get stronger, the people will fight back. All right, folks. I got a day of football to watch. And of course, I actually might have another Bee-otch of the day about some certain aspects of the NFL. I'll watch today's games and see what will happen at the end of the day. And I can tell you, it actually has to do with two of the teams playing today. Okay? All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekend. Good day and good luck. I'll talk to you later.